Hello fellow YouTubers, I'm Cassandra Joy and welcome to my channel. I ummed and ahed about whether or not to upload this video, first because it's a sit-down video and my vlogs are usually far more exciting. Also because there's a little bit of, what's it called when you are talking about a specific thing and you feel like you're not qualified but you're pretending that you are anyway? There's a word for that and I can't think of it. You probably are all screaming it at me. That's how I feel about this video, but that's also why I want to share it. I've shared a bit of my growing up throughout different vlogs and I've always tried to give it a positive spin. I'm of the opinion that the hard things we go through are lessons that teach us and make us a better person in the long run. If you're new to my channel and this is the first video you're watching, you're gonna get to know me really well. Just fair warning. I want you to know that the advice I'm about to give you has come from a very real place that I've learned the hard way, and if I can help you not have to learn it the hard way, I hope this video does that. I'll be looking at my phone because I have the list of life lessons written out here. The first one is, not being good academically is not always your fault. Education is a one-size-fits-all and doesn't cater to differing learning types. If you've watched any of my videos, you've heard me talk about being ADD pretty often. It was the thing that made school the hardest because my concentration was always at odds with trying to learn. The thing about ADD, if you don't know, is if you have no interest in what you're learning or absorbing, you cannot concentrate. Your brain checks out and is like, nope, I have better things to do, like daydreaming. And I was on no ADD medication, which I actually am glad I wasn't. And I had to learn how to cooperate with my brain and figure out how to work with it as opposed to against it. The unfortunate thing is that teachers are not trained to teach outside of the box that they have been educated in. It's not their fault, it's just the truth, but the problem is that it makes the student who is falling behind feel abnormal or less than. Now I can look back and say it wasn't because I lacked intelligence, it was just because my brain worked different and the school system doesn't cater to that. Wasn't it Einstein, who pretty sure is regarded as one of the smartest people in the world, had straight D's and F's throughout school? One doesn't reflect the other. What your grades look like do not even come close to touching the kind of person that you are. And that's what matters. Your 20s are when you change and grow the most. I am not the same person I was in my 20s, not even close. I always heard that your 20s are when you do the most growing up, and I never believed them because I felt complete, right? I felt like I knew everything I needed to know about life. Oh, sweet little innocent, naive Cassie. That's also partly why a lot of marriages that happen when you're in your 20s fail, because by the end of it, you're not married to the person you knew when you got married. I'm not saying that's true of everybody, but it just goes to show how much you change. If you're in your 20s right now, let it be a season of trying things. You have your entire life to know what you're doing, to work a 9-to-5, to be financially stable, to be a serious adult. Your 20s are to figure out what the heck you actually want to do. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we expect 19-year-olds to go off to college and pick a major that's going to define the rest of their lives when you have your entire 20s where you're going to change your mind 3, 4, 10 times anyway. I am not doing what I set out to do when I was 19, which is graphics design, if you didn't know. Am I doing any of that now? No. Do I want to do any of that now? No. Throughout my 20s, I had a myriad of jobs, none of which pertain to my career today. My 20s were just a big melting pot of trying things. It was a lot of constant change, not just externally, but internally. So if you feel like you're stuck or overwhelmed with what the heck you're gonna do with your life, take a breath. You're only in your 20s. You have so much time to figure it out. Doesn't feel that way, I get it, but trust, from me having been where you are, you have time. Number 3, if friends weren't in your life to stay, they were in your life to teach you something. I have had so many friends come and go throughout my life, and they all felt like a stab to the heart because I'm the kind of friend that really pours my all into a person that I care about. It took me a really long time to learn what a good, true friend looks like and how less than that is not worth your time. High school and college, if nothing else, will teach you how to tell the quality of a person. Now, as a 33-year-old, I can say that I have garnered some of the most wonderful ladies in my life, and that all came from having those other friends that I was heartbroken about losing, leaving my life. Lifelong friendships are like a marriage. It takes effort from both sides. Friendships have give and take on both sides of the spectrum, and sometimes the balance shifts depending on what that person is going through. Maybe you have to give a little more because they're going through a hard time and they need to take the comfort and the time and the listening ear that you have to offer. But then the balance should shift back when you go through something and they're there for you. People stop being your friend for usually 3 reasons. A, they're jealous. B, they don't see the value you bring to the table and therefore don't ever prioritize you. Or C, they don't know how to be a good friend. There are a lot of little red flags you learn to recognize once you've lost enough friends, or rather let go of enough friends. If they're never making time for you, if you feel thoroughly crappy inside and out after hanging out with them, those are the kind of indicators that you learn over time. Sometimes those people are not worth being in your life, which is a bummer, right? We don't want to lose friends. We don't like that feeling. It kind of feels like a tiny breakup. But the takeaway I've learned is that it wasn't a waste, because even though they didn't stay in your life forever, they were in your life to teach you something. Maybe it was to teach you how to be a better friend because you didn't like how that person treated you and you want to be better. Looking at it with that perspective helps it feel like less of a failure and more of a learning process instead. This may hurt a little bit. Brace yourselves. Your parents are usually right. My teenage rebellion, I use that word lightly because it wasn't much of a rebellion, happened after college when I quit halfway through and came home. I chalk it down to being given enough of independence to feel like I was making my own decisions, to not have someone placing rules or demands or chores over my head. When I came home, there were authority figures over me again. And for some reason, that big life transition was rough. My independence felt like it was being compromised. But if there's one thing I've learned throughout 33 years of life, it's that my parents are usually right. Now, I am lucky enough to have very wise parents who have been through a lot and have come out the other end with so much wisdom to offer. As you're growing up, you're not that receptive to that wisdom because you think you know best, but in fact, that's rarely true. And I can obviously only speak from personal experience with my parents, but they are some of the wisest people I know, and I value their opinions now very highly. Grandparents hold so much wisdom. Soak up every word. They've lived through what you're about to. Their advice can save you a lot of life's hurts. Visit them as often as you can. I'm going to start out by saying that I will not cry during this segment, but my eyes might get a little misty, just warning you. My grandparents were pure magic. I've never met a couple as joyful and wonderful and silly and jabbing and sarcastic and selfless as my grandparents. They lived through a lot. Those life experiences change you as a person and offer a very unique perspective on the world. I don't know what your grandparents have gone through, but I'm sure it's a lot. And they're not here to stay for very long. Any chance you get to go visit them and soak up whatever they have to say, do it. My grandparents are both gone now, and I would give anything to just sit with them and have coffee one more time. Soak up a little bit more of that wisdom and just their company. Grief comes in waves. When you're young, death feels like a faraway problem that you don't have to deal with for a very long time. I was lucky enough not to have lost anyone close to me until my grandparents. That was my first real experience with death and loss, and luckily I know that both my grandparents will be in heaven and I will get to see them again. But if I didn't have that assurance, if I didn't believe in God and know that there was a hereafter, I don't know how I would have dealt with that kind of grief. But one thing I did learn is that grief comes in waves. First, it feels like waves crashing over you again and again, and you feel like you can't catch your breath, you can't gain any steady footing. It's just overwhelming and everywhere, and it's inescapable. The phrase "time heals all wounds" is only partially true. It doesn't heal the hole that the person that you've lost leaves behind. You just get used to that hole being there. There's no timetable to how long it'll take for those tidal waves to become tiny little ripples. All I can say is that it does get there. It's also a really lovely thing to know that you loved someone that much to feel that amount of grief about. Sometimes you can do everything right and things will still go wrong. The important thing is to make sure you keep on doing what's right. I'm not sure why some people seem to have all the luck. That is not my story. But the important lesson here is that it doesn't stop you from doing the right thing, from pursuing those things that you want out of life just because they're hard to come by. And not to sound like an old lady, but it does build character. And everybody clicked off the video. Listen to the advice of people who know you the most. They have the best insight and the most caring motivation for what will benefit you the most. Having people in your life that you trust and know you really well, those are the kind of people that you should take advice from, because not only are they looking out for your best interest, but they can also see from an outside perspective their only priority is you. Obviously, at the end of the day, those decisions are yours to make, but definitely listen to the advice of people who know you the most, because they have some of the best insight. Real friends don't make you feel small for doing the things you love. Story time. There was a guy that I was in crush with. I am no longer in crush with. We are very incompatible, and I learned that very quickly. One of the things I love to do are accents. I'm very good at it. I find joy in doing them. And this guy that I was in crush with made a comment to someone we both knew. Why does Cassie do accents all the time? And the intonation was not a joking one. It was not in any way a build-up. And the minute that person relayed his comment to me, my crush with him vanished. There wasn't much of that crush left anyway at that point, but whatever dregs were left were gone instantly. I will not tolerate someone in my life making me feel small for something that I enjoy. I do want to add the caveat that there is a difference between making you feel small and doing those friendship elbow jabs of like, that's kind of weird. The intention behind what's said is completely different. My friends will absolutely make fun of the fact that I do accents all the time, but they don't discourage me from doing it. That's how you can know real friends from friends you need to let go. Treasure the friends that celebrate your passions and talents. I have a lot of friends who don't have any desire to be a YouTuber. They don't see why I stick to it or stay up till 3 or 4 a.m. trying to get a video up on time when no one is telling me to do it. They don't understand what drives me to do that, but they still celebrate the fact that I'm talented in it and dedicated at it, and celebrate every single new subscriber that comes on my channel. I have friends who monitor my subscriber count and text me anytime it jumps 1 or 2 people. Those are the kind of friends you want to have stick around long term. The people that celebrate you, whether or not they understand what you do, and are happy for you anyway. Listen to and allow differing opinions. They are as valid as your own, and it's okay to agree to disagree. If you are going into a discussion with fists already clenched, poised, ready for a sucker punch, the only thing you're going to accomplish is making the other person super defensive and not willing to listen to anything you have to say. Being open to hear them out, whether or not you intend to agree with them, makes a world of difference. And in a world where people go up in arms at the slightest differing opinion, I've learned that it is more than okay to calmly and kindly say, I hear you, I agree to disagree. And I've been able to preserve far more friendships with that tactic and have deeper conversations revolving some very differing opinions between me and my friends than I ever would have been able to accomplish with my fists up. Which leads us to the next life lesson. How you look matters. It sucks, but it's true. This is one that I didn't want to include, but I wouldn't have been fully honest if I hadn't. I always knew that looks mattered, just from the petty things you go through in high school, but the CEO of my artist development program that I was involved in told me that I was too overweight to ever make it in the music industry. That was the moment that told me in no uncertain terms that your body and what it looks like can affect your life. Which transitions nicely into the next lesson. Don't take things personally from people who don't know you personally. I cannot take credit for it. I heard someone else say it, but it has been my mantra for years now. I don't mind telling you that I am a people pleaser, that I am the kind of person that doesn't want to create ripples if I don't have to. I'm not looking for a fight. I'm not looking to cause waves, but people who make a snap judgment, or they comment something online, or they gossip behind your back at work, whatever the situation, I have learned the hard way to not take things personally from people who don't know me. My value is not lessened by their opinion. Who I am doesn't change based on the poison in their words. And if someone doesn't have the wherewithal to take the time to get to know you before spouting off their mouth, they're not worth being in your life, and their opinion holds no value. Being single is not a curse. It's a season of opportunity. A chance to do all the things you couldn't do as easily when your partner or child becomes your main priority. This life lesson has taken me so many years to learn. Singleness is not a curse. Singleness is not a curse. I want to shout that from the mountaintops. In a world of Instagram highlights and Facebook life update posts, it is wrought with discontentment, and being single can feel pretty crummy when you see everyone and their cousin getting married or having a baby or buying a house or moving to their dream location. Kind of makes you feel like you're standing still. Being single offers far more independence and opportunity. Does that mean I want to be single forever? No. Does that mean I don't want to be a mom? No. But I'm willing to wait for it and make the most of my time as a single person while I have it. Which leads nicely into worry and overthinking may feel like a shield, but it's actually a sucker punch. The Bible has a really cool verse that I cling to quite often that says, "Do not worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will worry about itself." I am what I like to call a professional worrier. I could be in the worrying Olympics. I could out-worry anybody you throw at me. And in my head, it feels like it's a protection shield, right? I'm thinking ahead through all of the catastrophic possibilities so that I can better prepare for if they happen. First of all, most of those catastrophic things don't happen. Second of all, why am I wasting my time and energy and mental capacity on most things that won't happen? I'm working on it. But that Bible verse does help. Just know, from me on the other end, professional warrior, hello, it is not a shield. It's a sucker punch. It takes the wind out of you and steals your joy. It makes life feel like a series of impending dooms as opposed to allowing you to be happy and enjoy the moment for what it is. A life lesson I've learned out of my years of being single: if a guy is interested in you, he'll make sure you know. If he seems disinterested, then he is. It's as black and white as that. I used to be a sign look-forer. I would try to find signs in everything. Like, oh, he caught my eye in class today. That must mean he likes me. No, he was panning the room and you happened to be staring at him and he caught your eye. If the guy is not asking you out, if the guy is not taking extra effort to talk to you at any given opportunity, if he is not making excuses to come see you or run into you, if he is not acting interested, he's not interested. Now, there are guys who are slow movers and want to get to know you as a friend before taking you out on an actual date. You can still tell that they're interested based on the time they want to spend with you. I spend a lot of time with my friends. I make them my priority. A guy who is interested, whether he's dating you right now or not, will make you a priority. It's as black and white as that. For all my fellow hopeless romantics out there who want to make a mountain out of a teeny tiny molehill of a sign, he's probably not interested if he's not acting interested. And if he's not acting interested and he is interested, then he's playing games and you don't want that kind of guy anyway. Hopeless romantics, don't get disheartened because fairy tales are real. Believe in them. I have 2 mega fairy tale stories in my family that make me believe in love and that it is possible to find the someone that you were meant to be with. My grandparents had an epic love story. They didn't see it as epic, but I definitely did. He was the football captain, she was homecoming queen. They met when they were in high school. They flirted across the hall. His friends would elbow him and say, "Oh, look, she's giving you that Colgate smile." For the record, my grandma's flirting advice would be to bat your lashes at somebody you thought was attractive and smile sweetly at them. That was the extent of the flirting advice I got from my grandmother. It's very wholesome and sweet and very outdated. But it worked on my grandpa, and they got married when she was 17. Remember, this was far back in the day. And if that kismet fairy tale of a story wasn't enough for you, let me tell you about my parents. My dad was visiting my mom's church. He was in the military, and if you don't know anything about the military, you move around a lot. Basically, where they need you, you go. My dad was single at the time and he was taking classes here in Ohio and happened to attend a church where he had friends. These friends happened to also be friends with my mother, who was also single. The way my dad tells the story is that he took one look at her and immediately said, "How has no one snatched her up yet? I have to get to know her." Eventually they got married, had me and my brother, and currently living happily ever after. And I think from those 2 stories alone, you can see why I am a hopeless romantic and refuse to not believe in fairy tale endings. It also has ruined me romantically because I have a very high bar. But the takeaway here is that not all hope is lost. Fairy tales do exist. My grandparents and my parents are both living proof. Love your body enough to take pride in it. Notice I didn't say love your body just as it is. I do not agree with the love myself just as I am trope that's going around social media. I do think that there should be an amount of body positivity just because we are all human and we're all flawed and we all have something we don't like about ourselves. But when that body positivity is promoting unhealthy lifestyles that are detrimental to your long-term health, I don't agree with celebrating that. I love my body enough to not celebrate the unhealthy state it was in, but to take pride and work on making it the healthiest it could be. Don't force yourself to fit into your clothes. Clothes were meant to fit you. I wish I could have told my younger self this. Old me wouldn't have liked this shirt. Not because I wouldn't like the color or the style, but because I wouldn't like the fact that it wasn't a size 12. That it wasn't, if you were high school me, an Abercrombie shirt and a pair of low-rise jeans. That to me was the epitome of beauty. If your body fit into that, you were beautiful. And I've just learned that that is not the case. Your clothes are meant to make you a statement, not the other way around. Okay, we're getting to the last few of these, so I'm gonna try to do them as rapid fire as I can. You get a no for every question you don't ask. I can't remember where I heard this phrase, but I have held on to it ever since. I've contacted a few people over the years and have wanted to work for them, have seen a need that I could fill, and wanted to offer my services. There was no "we're hiring" clickable button on their website. There was no advertisement for a job position. I took it upon myself to message them and say, far more eloquently than this, hey, I noticed that this and this and this is lacking, and I think I could help. How about hiring me? Not quite like that, but you know what I mean. And the person on the other end has always respected the gumption I've taken to try to open doors that weren't really doors, to ask the question anyway. The worst they can say is no, and if you don't ask the question, it's a no anyway. Romanticizing your life is essential if you are a pessimist. I am only and ever a pessimist in my own life. If it comes to my friends or my family, people I care about, I am the most positive ray of sunshine you will ever meet, because I see the potential that they have. I see how good their life is even if they can't see it, because I'm an external party with no emotional involvement other than the fact that I care about this person. When it comes to my own life, all I see are rain clouds. But once I started romanticizing my life, treating it as if it were this beautiful moment that needed to be captured for the rest of time, I found myself enjoying life a lot more. Maybe there aren't as many rain clouds as I thought there were. Outside of the huge trend of romanticizing your life, I do highly suggest it because it really helps give you perspective. Read as much as you can and as often as you can. I'm not saying this just because I'm a bookworm or because I'm an aspiring author trying to write books. I'm saying this because books were initially my coping mechanism. They were a way I could escape the hardships of my life. Books fed my imagination, which is a skill I think less and less people have now. Books are beneficial for so many reasons. Not to mention there's an entire community of book lovers, and it's like making instant friendships when you realize both of you love to read. Creativity inspires creativity. Surround yourself with as many of those kind of people as possible. When I was in my artist development group, I was passed around a bunch of different recognizable songwriters, and I found that every time I drove to Nashville, my creative juices would instantly start flowing and I'd be able to create things that I had been stuck creating before. Or when I went to Ireland and was surrounded by fellow writers and aspiring authors, we were so creative and so inspired. When you are surrounded by creative people who think like you do, it's amazing because creatives feed off of other creatives. We need each other, and our skills are better when we're together. So if you don't have creative people in your life, try to find them. They're not hard to find. Even going to the coffee shop with my friend Nicole, who also is an aspiring writer, even if we're not really talking and we're just working on our own stuff, having that other creative person there doing the same creative thing you are helps. I can't explain it. Work with children before you have kids. It's practically a boot camp for motherhood. I am more prepared for motherhood than the average person because I've already gone through all of the training, not just CPR and those kind of trainings, but actual firsthand experience on how to deal with different scenarios. If I could recommend one life lesson to would-be parents, hang out with kids as much as you can, as often as you can, before your parents. Work in daycares, be a nanny. There are so many parents out there who are not good parents, and I don't mean that in an unkind way. I just mean that they were unprepared. They were thrown into parenthood thinking that it'll be easy because good parents make it look easy, and then they get in there and realize, oh no, it's not. I'm running on sleep deprivation and I have to deal with an erratic 2-year-old that can't handle their emotions, and I'm struggling to handle my own emotions and I don't know what to do. It's a lot. It's overwhelming. But training beforehand makes it far less stressful. I will forever be thankful for the years of experience I've had being Mary Poppins because it's just taught me so many life lessons that I will take into motherhood and into parenting someday. This one's simple and honestly more for me than for you. Actually print the photos you take. I have so many photos on my phone and I've printed almost none of them. This is why I want to have a disposable camera on hand at all times, because I will print those, but I never think to print the photos I take on my own phone. So here's your friendly reminder. Print the photos. Faith means meeting God in the middle. In my younger years, when I didn't have nearly as many stresses to worry about, I was under the false assumption that faith was easy, because up until my adulthood, it had been. For anybody who doesn't come from a religious background, Faith does not mean, and if you've been taught this, it's wrong, that you sit back and God will make things fall into your lap effortlessly. That's not how it works. Faith is you meeting God halfway, you doing everything within your power to make something happen, but at the end, God's the one that will open or close a door. And as much as we would love a flashing neon arrow pointing us in the direction God wants us to go, that's just not how he works. It would be so nice if that happened, but no. God either opens doors or closes them and guides us toward the doors that are actually meant for us. So anytime something doesn't work out, I come at it with the perspective of, okay, that's a bummer. I was really looking forward to that, but apparently it wasn't meant to be, and that's okay, because God has a better plan than I do, which doesn't make me off the hook. I still have to do everything I can that's within my control, but it does take a lot of the pressure off knowing God knows what's going to happen and he's got this. I feel like I did not explain that well. If you have questions, please comment them and I'll be more than happy to expand on that. But that's been my experience with faith, learning to meet God halfway. And last but not least, the final life lesson. Age is just a number. The older I get, the less of a big deal I make my birthdays. I still like making them a big deal, but part of me feels more and more reserved now because frankly, I don't want to celebrate another year because I don't feel the age I am. I have felt 28 for the past 6 years. I didn't feel 30 when I turned 30, didn't feel 31 when I turned 31, or 32, or 33. And it always feels like by the time I finally feel like I'm starting to come to grips with the age that I am, another birthday rolls around. And I think part of that comes down to not having a lot of the same life experiences that a lot of other people have, like marriage and motherhood and homeownership and a corporate job. Those things, I think, make you feel your age a lot faster than if you're single and have a lot more independence. But the older I get, the more I'm learning that age is just a number. Most people don't believe that I'm 33 anyway because I have a baby face, which I'm very happy with. I will never complain about having a baby face. Thank you, Mom and Grandma, for giving me that. They both look so young for their age, and score, I got it too. Recently I've gotten 24, 26, so I will take it. That's fine with me. You're only as old as you feel. Some days I feel 80, but most of the time I still feel 28, and I'm okay with that. Once you hit your mid-20s, age becomes blurred. My friend group are all different ages, some older than me, some younger than me, and I can't remember which because we're all pretty much the same maturity level. So whether they're 25 or 33 or 36, it doesn't really matter because as long as the maturity level is the same, none of us really care. And those are life lessons that I've learned in 33 years. Hopefully I can cut down 90% of my babbling, but my hope with this video is that it helps you not have to learn the hard way some of the life lessons that I've shared here. I believe that wisdom should be shared and that we shouldn't have to go through things alone. I know sit down videos aren't usually my thing, but because my 30th? See, I don't feel 33 because my birthday went by so quietly without me really posting about it or opening up presents or eating cake on camera. I thought this video would kind of make up for it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you never miss a future video from me. I upload on Wednesdays and Saturdays, both at 6 a.m. and would love for you to be part of this little online family. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Love you guys. Mwah.